What's up, man? It's Dominique Love. A lot of people know me as D Love. I'm 31 years old. I'm from Bedford, Ohio. I'm a high school football coach. Been coaching high school football for 6 years. I'm also a youth treatment specialist, so I help adolescents and young teens who suffer from mental health issues and disorders, and who also suffer from drug abuse. I help them get on the right path, help them stay clean, and help them navigate through life. I also am an emerging motivational speaker. So everything that I've been through my life, I try to help others get to where they need to be, as long as I'm doing the same thing. And, we're just trying to get through this thing called life together. Yeah, so a few years ago, I would say maybe like 8 years ago, that's where the passion came from. I've studied and, looked at a lot of stuff, with Eric Thomas and other motivational speakers, and hearing their stories and hearing their testimonies and seeing how, at one point in their life they were here and then now they're at this point, and seeing their stories and being able to resonate with them on how they never gave up. They kept the faith in Jesus Christ, and Jesus Christ helped them find their purpose. So that's where my passion came from, just seeing their stories and seeing different people speak on their lives and their journeys. And, even through the midst of everything that I was going through in my life up to this point, different trials and tribulations that I went through, just having that faith of a mustard seed that everything was going to work itself out and everything was going to be okay at the end. And I just knew that my purpose here on this earth was far more greater than any circumstance or trial or tribulation that I went through. So that's where the passion came from. Yeah, and it kind of stems from what I've grown up. A lot of times growing up, I've seen people around me, family members, also friends who were doing drugs and different substances, and seeing the path that they went down, seeing that destructive path that it led them to, and just being able to have that experience and that knowledge and seeing what things happen to them. So me being able to use that in my everyday work shift, in my everyday life, helping these young teens and just helping them, being a mentor to them, and being able to just assist them in any way they can. If they're having a bad day or dealing with some troubles during that day, I just help them and help them be able to be better. If you need somebody to talk to, if you need a shoulder to cry on, if you need some advice for something, or you need any type of problem that, may need a resolution to, I'm that guy, and I get it. I'm not perfect. I fall short of glory every single day, but being that person who's been through hell and back, who's been through darkness and finally found the light, just being that person that can help people. It's a lot of times I like to have the perspective that hurt people, and I understand that everybody needs someone in this life. You can't do this life alone, and you can't, navigate through all life's problems on your own either. It's having people that's around you, that's going to support you, that's going to lift you up, that's going to encourage you, and also putting all your trust and faith in Jesus Christ. And I'm just that person who's been like that from 8 years ago up to now, and just sharing my experiences with people and just being able to show them that there is hope and that there is faith if you just never give up. But that's the main thing, just never giving up, trusting the process, and believing in yourself. I'll say my faith originally started when I was about 11 years old. I was always going to church, but I didn't really get too serious about it. As a young kid, when you're younger, you go to church, you fall asleep, you're chewing your gum, not really paying attention to much. But, I thank God for my mom. My mom was able to, install in me that, trusting in God and prayer and, just believing that everything will work out. I think that helped me a lot, especially when I was younger. Dealing with the things I've dealt with when I was younger, it definitely means a lot to me that my mom was always there and installed that in me at a young age. She started taking me to church. I started getting more involved. I started praying more on my own, because it's one thing for a parent to, show you and to take you to church and to lead you and pray over you, but it's another thing for the individual to actually do it on his own. You have to take your own path and walk your own journey, and that's a process. But at a young age, I think that's the best time to start that process and find out who Jesus Christ is on your own, and he will reveal himself to you and all the things that he can do for your life, and also reveal your purpose too. So I believe that's when my faith started, at a young age, at 11 years old. And also having a praying father. My father always prayed over me. He always wished the best for me. He always wanted the best for me, and he always installed in me that to never give up and just work hard and trust in God and with everything. So that's originally where my faith started. Like I said earlier, I'm a youth treatment specialist, but my purpose outranks it all. I know I have a purpose here on this earth, and it's to help people, especially our youth, because youth is our future. And I believe if I can have a positive impact on their life and have a positive influence on the decisions they make, that would set up our future to be better than what it is currently, because they are the future. When I first started coaching football at the community level 6 years ago, that's where the passion came from, just coaching and being able to reach, kids on a different, plane other than just, helping them or teaching them stuff, but also like teaching them a sport, whether it be football or any other sport that kids may play, just being able to connect with them on that level and help them become the best version of themselves on and off that playing field. Just me being a treatment specialist, yes, that's my position, that's my title, but I look at it more as me walking in purpose. Every day I go to work, every day I deal with these kids, every day I work with them, I treat this as a calling. I know I have a mission to fulfill, and I know that I'm doing the Lord's work every single time I go to work. Dealing with these kids, they're going through a lot of internal battles, a lot of things that are weighing up against them, heavy on their shoulders, and for me to just be there every day, being that direct line with them and being a mentor to them and just helping them, get through the darkest times of their life and just leading them down a path that is better for them and helping them stay on that right path. Like I have, clients that I deal with who I've dealt with in the past who have reached out to me and thanking me for the guidance and assistance and, also drawing them closer to the Lord, and that means a lot to me. That shows that the work I'm doing on a daily basis, at my job is definitely fruitful and is helping a lot of teens, So just being that person for them, that direct line of source to them and just helping them get on the right path, stay on the right path, and find their purpose here on this earth. Man, it's a lot of things I can say, but one thing I can, above all, is, trust in Jesus Christ, trust in God, and the only way to God is Jesus Christ. Surrender all your problems, surrender all your worries, all your anxieties, all your doubts, all your problems. Just surrender to Him, and He will help you along the way. It's a lot of stuff that people deal with on a daily basis, a lot of eternal battles, and a lot of things that people are going through, and they hide behind a smile. And it's just be able to know that you're not alone and just never give up. I don't care how tough things may get, how hard things may seem. You may be on edge, or you may feel like the only way out is death, or you may want to include self-harm on yourself, or you may want to not live anymore. And I'm telling anybody that's watching this video to not give up and just trust in Jesus Christ and know that you are not alone and everything will work itself out, but you can't give up. There's times throughout my life, even now, there's some days where I procrastinate, where I have self-doubt, and I don't believe that I'm worthy of the things that God is trying to bless me with. But I think that's where it starts too, is just believing in yourself and knowing that, if you just don't give up and just keep going and trust in the process, everything will work itself out.
Amen.
Amen.